This Commodore 64, made in 1983, has some serious issues. Let's see what it takes to bring it back to life. Today, we have another in-depth look at a machine for an upcoming 64 Commodore episode. Black screen. This one was made in 1983, and at some point after that, someone installed a reset switch. That's not doing anything. All in all, it's looking pretty decent, which is one reason I chose it for that upcoming video. Clearly, there's some work to be done, so let's take a look inside. I hate soldered SIDs, but that's life. It's a 1983 VIC, a 407 Rev A board, all the improvements. Much smaller here. Heat sink on the 5 volts that's usable. An 87 PLA, so that's been replaced. Everything else is 83, including the soldered in SID and the VIC too. Don't see any MOS ICs. Yay. Okay, so why are we getting a black screen? So let's try a dead test. Let's try a DES test. Before running DES Test Max, though, I need to get the reset switch desoldered so the upper case isn't tied to the board. In retrospect, though, I probably should have just removed the switch from the case instead of desoldering it from the board. And with DES Test, we got nothing. So now, let's start with some of the basics. I'm going to slide this over. We're going to check voltages, and then we're going to check some signals. 4.9, 12 volts, 12.18, 5 volt coming from the power supply. We can just check that way, 4.86. 12 volts on the SID is good. The voltage rails all look good, so next, let's check the reset. Since I had my meter in my hands already, I used that to test it instead of the scope. It works fine, although the scope's a little more precise. It's about a second, half a second later, which is plenty. So that's all right. Next, we need to look at the clocks. They required the scope, so I set it up. 1.022 megahertz, so those look fine. So we got good voltages. I'm going to leave this on for a minute and just see if anything's getting abnormally hot. Next, I tested the system with a DES Test Max cartridge, which was so handy last time. Interesting. Nothing from the DES Test Max, but the dead test is giving us some flashes. I'll talk a little more about this inconsistency between dead test and DES test later while testing the machine. 4 flashes, the same number of flashes I was getting from that nightmare machine I just finished. Oh, I'm not a fan of 4 flashes on dead test right now. I'm a little traumatized by it. Basic ROM's pretty warm. Kernel's fine. This kernel's the 02, while the last machine had the 01, and the final version that most machines have is the 03. So this is a great example of a 1983 machine. I just need to get it running. Looking at the soldering on the RF shield, I don't know that this has ever been opened before, or at least had the RF shield removed for soldering. Well, there was a message on this. What was that? It did have a message on it that U2 is bad. At 2 CIA, there's so many bad CIAs, and U2 is socketed, so we can also test that. This is 2083, this is 0483, so it's possible that was swapped out at some point. Since it's socketed, they wouldn't need to solder. The case looks fine. Just for the record, here's the serial number. Keyboard's going in to get cleaned in the house tonight. We still have a brass RF shield. It hasn't moved to silver yet. So I'm going to take this RF shield off. So if I was just in a hurry trying to get a fix, I would probably test the VIC-2 and the socketed chips and just see how they test out. So I could test the VIC-2, I could test this PLA, which is a replacement, the 6510, the two CIAs, and the kernel. Everything else is soldered, so that's great. But this isn't just about getting a quick fix. I want to get a nice diagnostic on it. Now I want to inspect the board, so it's time to pull it out and remove the RF shield. I hate removing RF shields. So, clearly it has gotten wet. And for something from the Stone collection, that's pretty much always the case. The board looks pretty good on both sides, so let's continue with testing, starting with the address and data lines. What I want to take a look at here is some of the bus lines before I test some chips, just to see where we're starting at. And when it comes to checking the bus, I find a convenient place to start is the ROMs, just because they you basically can go from pin 1 through 8 and then 18 through 23. So taking a look, so that's A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and A7. So those look fine. 21. That does not look right. So that is A7, which is not right. That looks fine. That's A8. These are all mixed up. 19, A10, and then 18 and 21. 18, 21. So yeah, A12 isn't looking great. Definitely not a fan of those levels. Those are shot. Those are shot. That's going to be ground. There's some really ugly looking lines on the data bus. In situations like this, my go-to is to reduce the problem set as much as possible. The best way I know to do that is to remove any socketed chips that are not necessary for test cartridges to run. So we don't need the CIAs. Wow, those are in there snug. And we don't need this ROM. The other ROMs we don't need either, but you know, they're soldered. We don't need the SID, but it's soldered. We need the CPU, we need the PLA, we need this. We don't need the SID, but it's soldered. We need the VIC. So then we'll hook up the DES test, see if that does anything. And with DES test, we got nothing, especially since we don't have a video cable connected. I will have a serious impact. Try that again. So nothing off the DES test. Turn that off. Try the dead test. Still have 4 flashes, right? No, just 1 flash. I can test many of these ICs in the ZIF64, and the ROMs I can read in the RetroChip Tester Pro to see if they read correctly. I could also test them by reading them with an EEPROM burner and comparing the CRCs to ensure they are correct. Okay, so now let's see what happens with the VIC going. Okay, look at that. So that VIC-2 seems to be all right. It's good to know. Well, while we're at it, let's test the other testable chips, starting with this replacement PLA. And we'll also look at a very snugly installed CPU. Okay, I'm only going to record these if they have issues. Let's try that again. I tested the PLA without a VIC-2 on the board, which just won't work. Okay, we're running. So CPU seems good. PLA seems good. And the VIC-2 seems good. All right, just testing the basic ROM from the machine. Just gives me a CRC, but if I pull this out and put one of my old stock ones from Carl Stone's collection, which is no guarantee it works, but it's worth a shot. See, now it recognizes it as a Commodore 64 and TSC ROM. So definitely an issue, and I'm going to swap that out. So dead test has given me a single flash. Oh no, now it's going to give me 4, 5, 6. See, that's interesting. So it was just giving me one flash, which is U12, which when I looked at its output, and the data out on these chips is on both pin 2 and so 1 down on this side, 3 down on this side. So 14. Yeah, so pins 2 and 14. And so at first glance, I thought it looked okay, but I adjusted my scope settings, and you can see if I stop it, we've got these spikes that are coming down into the nether zone, the illegal zone. So I think that the 1 flash for U12 is valid, but the 6 flashes, which I am looking at the dead test manual, and 6 flashes is U22. And that's interesting because U22 is the one I was looking at and going, well, let's start the scope running again. U22 is the one I was looking at and going, yeah, that ain't right. That chip is definitely bad. And U21 has also got garbage output. So I think I have at least 3 bad RAM chips. So I'm going to start out by changing those chips, and I'll be back when that's done. All right, so replaced all 3 of those RAM chips, and they all test fine. I've tested this a couple times with dead test. I get different results each time, sometimes 1 flash, sometimes 6. So peeking around, what I'm finding is that since these are all okay, but the output's garbage, I was looking at the multiplexers that manage the RAM, and I found on pin 14 this terrible looking signal. And this is A12 looking at the schematics. So looking around, what I found was that we've got that on the kernel ROM, but obviously I've got the ROM removed. Now the same signal is on the basic ROM right there. And it doesn't go to the character ROM. We tested the CPU in another machine and it works. A12 doesn't go to the SID. Doesn't go to the VIC-2, I don't think, but the VIC-2 tested good. So at this point, it could be this chip or it could be this chip. But this basic ROM is getting really, really hot. So the next step I'm going to make is to remove and test that basic ROM and see where that gets us. Hopefully that fixes it. I'll be back when it's done. Just testing the basic ROM from the machine. Just gives me a CRC, but if I pull this out and put one of my old stock ones from Carl Stone's collection, which is no guarantee it works, but it's worth a shot. See, now it recognizes it as a Commodore 64 and TSC ROM. So definitely an issue, and I'm going to swap that out. Okay, so did a bunch of poking around. The RAM chips didn't fix it. The soldered ROMs were both bad, but that didn't fix it. I still need to put a socket in. Kind of right now, I think the most likely culprits are either the multiplexer for the bus or the SID, which gets fairly warm, but SIDs do get warm. And so to make the decision of which to change next, I'm going to try the one that I hope it is, because SIDs I don't have a lot of. I don't have, I think, any spares. And these are jelly bean parts, which are cheap and easy to come by. So I am going to change this chip. And if that fixes it, I'll be back. If not, I'll go ahead and swap the SID and talk to you then. All right. Took the SID out. Changing the 74257 didn't help, and it appeared to be good. The SID definitely had issues, and now we are running tests in dev test. Or we're running tests in dead test. Now this board has no SID, no ROMs, no CIAs, so we're not going to get any sound or anything. But it does appear to be running. So now we can move on to the diag cartridge. With all the excitement, it looks like I forgot about that note on the machine that said, U2 is bad. I swapped it out with a good one from my Ziff machine, and now it's looking great. The nasty keyboard got a thorough cleaning while watching a movie with the wife, and I reconnected those reset wires. I was having one other issue though. Often the machine failed to start when I turned it on. I recently saw an interesting video on More Fun Fixing It where Lee took one apart and cleaned it up. I thought that was very doable and looked like a great idea. It was all going great until I picked up a tiny rod with my tweezers and it shot across the room, never to be seen again. So as you can see, I ended up installing a brand new switch, but I'm sure I'll give Lee's cleaning method another try sometime. Now that it turns on reliably, I figure what better way to test a Commodore 64 manufactured in 1983 than to use a game released for it in 1983. Hey, I know! How about Moon Patrol? While I test, I wanted to discuss the issue where Dead Test was giving flashes while Des Test Max was black screening. I was talking about it with a friend at the local retro meetup, and he had Matt Desmond contact me about it the next day. Apparently Matt uses a trick that allows Des Test to get the starting screen up much faster than Dead Test, and it looks like the SID is preventing 3 data bus lines from working properly, which must be interfering with it. I've sent him video of all the SID's traces and have tested a couple ROM images that he sent me. Apparently, he also has a CIA causing a similar problem, so he's looking into options. If need be, I'll ship the bad SID to him. In the meantime, I'm going to treat this situation with the Dead Test flashes and the Des Test black screens as a diagnostic indication that the data bus is busted. If you like this retro restoration, then you'll probably like this one where I restored a machine with about a dozen bad ICs. I think it died from the Black Death. Thanks for coming.